All right, peace, peace, peace. Welcome back to the Mixed Metals Podcast. I am your humble host, Quan, aka Hard to Find. Um, we are now in week 3 of the NFL season, but I wanted to go over week 2. So let's do that. Uh, but while we in week 3, let's just mention that the Bills are 3-0. They beat the Dolphins at home, 31-21. Josh Allen had a decent night. Decent night. I think he had 3 touchdown passes. They didn't like nothing looked spectacular if you watched the game, but they were, and I can't necessarily say that they were dominant because it was much closer than what we were led on to believe. Tua threw an interception towards the end of the game. Um, Obviously, I'm sure he wished he could have had that one back, but yeah, it's those kind of things. Tyreek did score. I'm only mentioning that because he's on my fantasy team. Uh, Other than that, like Tua was kind of dinking and dunking. Not a lot of downfield passes. Um, but I mean, he was able to get on the scoreboard and keep him on the scoreboard. They stayed in attack mode. Um, but yeah, they came up short in the end. Um, but recapping the week 2 scores, on last Thursday night, the Packers did beat the Commanders 27-18. Um, Bengals beat the Jags 31-27 in a very ugly game. Uh, Joe Burrow went down. Jake Browning threw 3 picks, and they still found a way to win. Um, Russell Wilson turned back the clock for their game. They went into overtime, but did come up short, losing 37-40 to the Cowboys. Um, I mean, it's definitely a glass half empty, glass half full. The glass half full is that they won the game, the Cowboys, but the glass half empty is that they allowed 37 points from the Cowboys. I mean, from the Giants. Um, so that's tough, especially looking at their upcoming schedule. Now they do play the Bears this week, so that may be a gimme, given that the Bears look out of sorts to say the least. The Lions put a whooping on the Bears. Speaking of the Bears, 52-21. Um, I don't know. I don't know about Caleb. The verdict's still out on Caleb. We don't know yet. Um, I'm sure that they can get it together. They're dealing with a rookie head coach, uh, and a guy who has depended on his athleticism for the bulk of his career, I would say. Um, but when let's say when you're in college, you may be one of like 8, 9, we can even say 15 people on the field um, that are like just super duper NFL talented, NFL gifted, and that type of thing. But in the NFL, everybody on the field, no matter what position you're playing, is NFL, talented, NFL gifted, So um, I think it's just like they gotta come to a middle ground to where they can figure out each other, how to help each other. Um, and I believe in Caleb. Um, he's shown flashes, but he does look a little lost out there at times. Um, so yeah, we'll see. The Rams did beat the Titans 33-19. Not much to say there. The Patriots beat the Dolphins. Drake May threw for, or he accounted for 3 touchdowns that game. Um, my 49ers did beat the Saints with backup quarterback Mac Jones leading the way. I will go over his stats. Mac Jones, let's see. Yeah, so Mac Jones he went 26 of 39 for 279 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He was sacked 3 times for 12 yards, a passer rating of 113.1. Um, overall, I would say excellent game. He was it was a slow start, but once he got it going, it was no looking back. Chris McCaffrey, 13 rushes for 55 yards. Um, I mean, 4.2 yards a carry. You can't argue with that necessarily, but at the same time, Christian McCaffrey just don't look like the same explosive Christian McCaffrey that we have come to know. So, um, if that is the case moving forward, if it's not just him working his way back and this is just the norm, this is just who he is for the rest of the season, then um, I'm sure that if anybody can do it, Kyle Shanahan can adjust and adapt and you know um, figure out the way to put the players in the best position to be successful. It was very cliche, but I believe in Kyle Shanahan, and that may be a little biased, but it is what it is. Um, Moving on, the Bills did beat the Jets last week. Jets looked kind of anemic. They appeared to be going backwards. But I mean, of course, it's only been two games, but I do believe that the Jets play Miami next, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so they play Miami on the 29th. Um, so we will see. Oh no, the next game is at Tampa Bay. So that's a possible three. Oh, and then they play Dallas after Miami. They play Denver after that. So that's gonna be a rough 4 game stretch for them. I see. Um, but I mean, I didn't put much stock into the Jets this season anyway. Um, Seahawks did beat the Steelers. That was a very questionable play where the Steelers player, I don't even remember who it was. Okay, George Holani. Um, the ball bounced into the end zone or toward the end zone, and he didn't on a kickoff, and he didn't realize that it was still a live ball, and so the Seahawks scored on that. Um, you gotta pay attention to the rules if you're gonna be a professional player, and I'm sure that's just one of those brain farts where I promise you that probably won't happen again. At least to him, I guarantee it won't happen again to him. Um, Ravens did beat the Browns. That was another slow start. It was 10-3 at halftime, but the final score was 41-17. They really got it together towards the fourth and in the fourth quarter. Derrick Henry uh, couldn't do anything, and that came just after the Browns were talking heavy, talking noise, as they would say in Texas. Derrick Henry had 11 carries for 23 yards. I don't think we'll ever see that again either. That's just one of those things. Oh, and you know what? I thought that this game was in Cleveland, but this was in Baltimore. So I mean, it does make at least a bit of a difference. I think that when Cleveland is able to say whatever they want and then back it up on the road, that's different than what I thought. Because I was thinking, they'll see him again, they'll see him in Baltimore, and it'll be different. But lo and behold, it will be in Cleveland. So I'm circling that game on my calendar. Um, Colts did beat the Broncos. Bo Nix played well in a loss. He is playing some opposite day football. He went 22 of 30, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Um, Overall passer rating of 111 and a QBR of 73. No sacks. He rushed 3 times for 20 yards. I mean, he had it dialed in, but unfortunately they um kept the Colts undefeated up to this point. Um, so we will see what is up with Denver. I do believe last week when I did my after week one projections, I had the Broncos finishing third in that division, and I still hold on to that. I've never been more sure of anything in my life, if I'm being honest. Um, the Colts, I think that the Colts will come down to earth. If not this week, then next week. So I expect them to be 2-2 in 2 weeks, but we'll see. Um, Stranger things have happened. The Cardinals did beat the Panthers. That's another game where I I'm rooting for Bryce Young, man. I really want Bryce Young to succeed. He got sacked 3 times for 25 yards. Um, but he was 35 of 55 for 328 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, a passer rating of 90, but a QBR of 48.1. But I mean, just he can have like just flashes of brilliance that will like will just I don't know, man. They leave me dumbfounded because he'll do this he'll do this last week, and then this week he'll probably get like 105 yards passing, 3 picks or something like that. God forbid. I don't wish that on him, but he's just a very confusing player to root for, I would say. Um Eagles did beat the Chiefs in the big Super Bowl rematch. Probably I think it was the game of the week. It was the Fox game of the week. And probably the most anticipated game of last week anyway. The Chiefs don't necessarily look like the Chiefs of old at the moment, but it's 15 weeks left, so I'm sure, or 16 weeks left. So I'm sure that they can get it together. If anybody can get it together, they can get it together. The Andy Reid and Mahomes combo has yielded uh, unworldly success. So if anybody can get it back on track, it's them. But they do have to get their injured players back, and they just got to get on the same page. I'm not a Chiefs fan. I do like Patrick Mahomes, but it's just I don't. It's one of those things. Like I am an Alabama fan, so I do understand that that once an unexpected loss or unexpected start to a season happens, then they expect for the whole thing to just come crumbling down. But champions are determined in these kind of moments. So um, a phoenix rising from the ashes, if you will. Uh, I wanted to go over the stats to that game. I think Jalen Hurts, very pedestrian game, 15 of 22 for 101 yards. Um, Saquon, 22 carries for 88 yards. That's pretty good. Um, I mean, just a very, very regular game. But they were able to pull out the win. Mahomes was 16 to 29 for 187 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Jalen Hurts didn't throw a touchdown or a pick. It's like that basically like cancels out. So that's interesting. That's an interesting stat line, and I'm because the Eagles kind of haven't looked like the Eagles thus far to this point in the season. So um, that'll be a good hallmark point or bookmark point of the season to see how they both come out of that game. Um, the Falcons did beat the Vikings with JJ McCarthy basically playing for the Falcons in that game. Um, 11 of 21, 158 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks, sacked 6 times for 38 yards. Um, Michael Penix Jr. Threw 13 of 21, 135 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, was sacked 3 times for 27 yards. Yet I mean, they had at least 4 field goals, five field goals from their kicker that replaced Koo after Koo has just been. I'm and I'm not calling for anybody's job or anything like that, but I'm extremely curious how Koo is still on the team. I'm shocked that we haven't heard that he was cut or anything. Now Parker Romo was good for 1 week. He was 5 of 5 with his long field goal being for 54 yards. Um, he scored 16 points by himself. So I mean, you can't really argue with those results. So it is what it is. I'm very curious to see moving forward how they how they operate from the kicker position. Uh, how did we? Okay, that don't make sense. Yes, it does. Okay, never mind. My apologies. Moving on, it's a couple more games. The Buccaneers beat the Texans, another game-winning drive for Baker. A lot of people got him in the MVP race, high in the MVP race right now. And I think he's worthy. He comes up clutch. Um, he may not play the greatest game, for 3 quarters, or he may play a great game and then just just steadily move towards the finish line. And he has just been able to 2 wins on the road um, for him, and they both came in the last quarter. Uh, so they didn't pull away in either game. So you got to give credit to that quarterback. And speaking of MVP race, the Chargers did beat the Raiders 20-9. That's another game where Geno played for the Chargers for a night. Um, Geno was 24 43, 180 yards. He was sacked 3 times for 30 yards. That's 10 yards per sack. Um, no touchdowns, 3 picks. Uh, I mean, I don't know how much you can do with that. Um, Justin Herbert, 19 of 27, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Was sacked twice for only 6 yards. Um, the thing about the Chargers is that Justin Herbert has been their leading rusher, and they have Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton. Now, Najee Harris is coming from a semi-mysterious incident. I won't even want to call it an injury, but there was something happened with fireworks to where he wasn't practicing, or he wasn't in training camp until maybe a week before the season started, maybe 2 weeks. Um, and the report had been that he was fine, but we just hadn't seen him, and we didn't officially see him until there was about a week left. So that was weird. I wonder if he's still recovering or what's going on with that. But if they can get their run game under control to where Justin Herbert doesn't have to be running 9 times, the most times for the most yards on the team, then I think that the Chargers will be dangerous. And I am definitely sticking with them winning that division. I know it's very, very early, and I said previously that you can't count the Chiefs out, but the Chiefs aren't going to win that division every season, as they have since Pat Mahomes has been the starter. But that's just I don't that's not sustainable anywhere in any sport, in my opinion. Um, I don't think there's been much NBA news. Let's see. Tyler Hero is set to miss 8 weeks after surgery. Dennis Smith Jr. did return to the Mavs. Um, Other than that, I don't see anything that's very, very noteworthy. Let's go over college. Um, so we have I'll go over week 3 in college. Indiana beat Indiana State 73-0. Uh, I feel like, oh no, I couldn't have. Okay, so Ohio State beat Ohio 37-9. You know what? I'm gonna just go over the notable games. LSU beat Florida. That is a rivalry game, 20-10. I think DJ Lagway had 5 picks in that game. Miami did beat South Florida 42-12. I mean 49-12. Um, just a absolute drubbing. Um, Georgia came back on Tennessee and beat them on the road 44-41 in overtime. Um, Tennessee just couldn't finish. I'm not sure. I want to say it was 21-7 at one point. Yeah, it was 21-7 after the first quarter. And Georgia walked them down and came all the way back. Um, Texas UTEP is not a notable game, but notable for Arch. He is I don't want to say struggling, but uh not having the greatest start to a starting career. Um he was 11 of 25 for 114 yards, one touchdown, one pick again against UTEP. Um he did run two touchdowns. So I mean if you just look at the stats, you would be able to say I mean he had a decent game. Um He accounted for 165 yards, and three touchdowns. I mean, that would be incredible for most quarterbacks. But if you looked at the game, it was rough. Again, to know me is to know that I am a fan of Texas. So I do pay close attention. And it's been a rough start so far. I don't know if he is living up to the hype, but you know, I'm sure he can get there. Part of it is having that last name. Part of it is having that last name and being able to, there are four Super Bowls between the two brothers. Um, and what, five MVPs. So it can happen. And Peyton got, he came on late in his NFL career. Um, he was throwing picks left and right until it finally clicked for him. But that was in the NFL. So, you know, um, I think that Arch can get it together. But, he did go to a smaller school in Louisiana. Um, and just maybe, some things are just coming to light, but it's early. It is early. But they do get started with their SEC play, I think next week, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll really see, what's going on. Texas A&M beat Notre Dame at home, 41-40. Notre Dame had played two games, and Notre Dame had lost two games, and Notre Dame was still ranked. I don't know what that was about. Vanderbilt beat the brakes out of South Carolina, off of South Carolina at home, 31-7. Uh, and that took South Carolina from 11 to unranked. Georgia Tech did beat the woeful Clemson Tigers. Clemson is having one of the worst seasons I've seen under Dabo. Um, let's see. Ole Miss did beat Arkansas 41-35. Ole Miss was at home. Alabama Crimson Tide did beat Wisconsin 38-14. Ty Simpson was dealing. Uh, let's go over his stats. He was 24 of 29, 382 yards, four touchdowns, no picks. Um, he ran six times for 25 yards. That's another one of those situations where he has been the leading rusher so far. I don't like that. But there have been a lot of injuries with Alabama, and um, a lot of movement on the depth chart. But Jam Miller should be back this upcoming week against Georgia. There's the perfect time to have him back. The receivers have been outstanding. Isaiah Horton finally got him one. Um, and I mean, once they start to unlock the rest of the receiver core, I mean, I think the sky's the limit for Alabama. Um, I don't see us losing any more than one more game, if any, but we'll see. Um, Kevin Riley got going. Lazier Brooks got going, a freshman, true freshman, excellent player. Uh, I'm excited to see what he ends up doing. He's a small guy, 5'9", 191 pounds, but is dynamic, explosive. Um, he should be special and continue the wide receiver tradition at Alabama. Um, no more notable games from last week. Let's go over this week. Uh, Miami is leading Florida 13-7 right now. It's been a defensive battle in that game. Florida can't seem to get it going offensively. I don't know. Lagway just I don't want to say he looks lost out there, but he doesn't look like he has it all together. Um, at the moment, and it is again, it's the fourth quarter with 4 minutes 17 seconds left. He's 10 of 17 for 57 yards. Um, I don't, I that wouldn't get it done in the video game, let alone against Miami on the road. So, and last year, I don't know if I can say that DJ Lagway is regressing, but he just don't look the same as last year. Last year, you saw so much potential. You saw again flashes of brilliance, but it doesn't seem that he has that same confidence, and um, it's showing. Like from the game last week, 5 picks, and I'm curious why he didn't get pulled. But once you pull a guy, it's hard to get them back focused and back, to fight for that spot, especially with the transfer portal. So uh, we'll see. I mean, it's not too late for Florida. They can probably still make a good bowl game, but as they say on first things first, it's getting late early for them. Indiana is destroying Illinois. With Indiana being at home, 63-10. Uh, I don't know if I see number 9 Illinois being ranked anymore after this week. Um, but stranger things have happened. Notre Dame lost their first 2 games and we're still ranked. Uh, Vanderbilt is handling Georgia State. Uh, no surprise there, 56-15. Um, any more interesting? Let's see what Arch is doing now. Now that they've had uh quite a bit of cupcakes throughout the season. The only cupcake that they didn't have, they lost to, and that was Ohio State. Um, again, Archman had five carries for 11 yards, but 2 touchdowns. 18 to 21 passing for 309 yards for 3 touchdowns. You know, um, now this is against the Sam Houston Bearcats, and there's cat spelled with a K. So, I don't know how much that means. They are winning 55-0. But if he could show that in SEC play, which I don't know if I see that happening right away, but if he could show that at any point during the season, then maybe he might be right back on track. They are at Florida next week. Um, uh, I'll definitely be have my eye out for that game. It's a lot of good games next week. Um, so I'll have my eggs in a lot of baskets for next weekend. USC will be playing Michigan State. Both teams undefeated. They play at 11 o'clock Eastern, so I might catch some of the game. But USC is an 18.5 point favorite. Um, let's see. Let's see what happens. Oregon, after being tied 7-7 after the first quarter, didn't allow another score. The final score was 41-7. Those rivalry games could typically go either way, but not this time. Oklahoma did beat Auburn 24-17. Any other notable games? Texas Tech did beat Utah 34-10. Texas Tech being on the road. Um, Georgia Tech 4-0. To know me is to know I love Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech beat Temple, which isn't that big a deal, but they beat them 45-24. Um, should have gone to that game, but it is what it is. Michigan did end up beating Nebraska 30-27. Is Nebraska the team with uh uh that one quarterback? Uh who is he? Who is he? Yep, Dylan Raiola. Um, the kid that want to be Patrick Mahomes so bad. Um, anyway, Nebraska is probably not gonna be, in that fight for the Big Ten come the end of the season. So that is what that is. Um, Missouri did end up beating South Carolina 29-20. Is another team that is getting late early for South Carolina. Um, if I'm not mistaken, well, of course they were number 11 last week. Then they got unranked after being destroyed by Vanderbilt at home. Um, I don't know. They're 0-2 in SEC play. Um, I don't I don't know. I don't know. They got Kentucky next. I can see they could lose that game. Then they're at LSU. They got Oklahoma after that, and then Alabama. Um, I don't know. It might be. I do think South Carolina's gonna beat the brakes off Clemson, but uh, I don't know. I don't know. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for them. Um, and I think that's it of the. I don't know why they just do top 25. I want to see it all. Uh, let's see. BYU is up on East Carolina 34-13. That game is just about over. Um 0-0 Colorado against Wyoming. Colorado being at home. Um Hawaii and Fresno State play at 11:59 p.m. Um Hawaii is 3-1. That's interesting. Uh I don't know which no, I think Washington State is Wazoo. Um anyway, they got smoked. It was 59-24 to Washington. Those in-state rivalry games I love. Oh, Syracuse beat Clemson, making Clemson 1-3, which is absolutely dreadful. Um, I, of course, you're gonna get the dramatic cause of fire Dabo and those kind of things. Um, Dabo was he did say after the game that he is feeling the same pain as the fans. Um, I don't know how true that can be, but yeah, they are having a rough go at it. Who did they beat? Oh, their one win was against Troy this season, and that was a close game. They've lost to LSU, Georgia Tech, and Syracuse now. And I want to say two of those games were at home. Three of those games were at home, but they only won one of them. So boy, is wow. It's already over for Clemson. Just 4 games into the season. How often do we say that? TCU did beat SMU 35-24. I think I saw something about that game being like the 100 and something meeting, and they're not like scheduled to play each other for uh yeah, it's their last scheduled meeting for the foreseeable future. Um because I think SMU going to another conference, or are they already in another conference or something? It's probably some conference realignment business going on with that. Um, other than that, see if they got okay, they got me back. FBS. Um, no, Louisville 3-0, beating Bowling Green. Um, Bowling Green's Eddie George, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yep, Eddie George. And they are 2-2. Um, I just hope coaches like that, continue to have chances at this level, and you know, um, not be released so quickly, because uh, people that look like me tend to have a much shorter leash than people that don't in athletics. Kennesaw got their second win of the season, 28-21. That's relevant because I live right down the street from Kennesaw State. I used to go there all the time. Boise State got their second win of the season against Air Force, 49-37. Um, that's only notable because of how Boise State started the season. They got smoked. Um, Virginia 3-1, 1-0 in the ACC. 48-20 over Stanford. And Tulsa did beat Oklahoma State yesterday. Iowa beat Rutgers. That was a pretty good game, 38-28. Um, and that's about it on that. Let's talk music. Jay Electronica put out two projects. I knew something was going on because I even told my wife, we were out celebrating our anniversary, and uh I want to say the night before, Jay Elec had put uh Act One and Act Two. If you know about Jay Electronica, you know what those are on streaming for the first time. And then I had looked it up. I looked up just Jay Electronica so I can click on news. And my wife noticed that his birthday was the following day. And I'm like, I'm like, what's going on with that? I wonder, he got some up his sleeve. And lo and behold, he released two projects. A written testimony. One is called Leaflets. The other is Power in My something. Power at the Rate of My Dreams. Um, so yeah, I enjoy both of them. A little light on the rapping for me, but it is what it is with Jay Electronica. I take what I can get. Um, he does have West Side Gun on one of the projects, and I enjoyed that song. Uh, Jay Electronica to me is an elite lyricist, elite rapper, but I would say he is an acquired taste musically, especially with his release pattern. These are the first releases in 5 years, which was, 5 years ago. That was the first release. That was his debut album. Um, Jay Elect was more of a mythical figure in hip hop. Um, and I don't know if I align with him as much as I do, because I am Muslim. Um, and his a written testimony, the first written testimony was released kind of at the beginning of my journey of becoming Muslim. Um, so that was pretty cool. And I get like a lot of his entendres and stuff like that. So yeah, it was pretty cool. But like I said, I've enjoyed them so far. Very short projects. I think one is 7 tracks, one is 5. Um, so I mean, all in all, that's one total album if you put them together. But like I said, I enjoyed him. He did mention, and this would have people you know, running wild with it. He did mention on one of the projects that Jay-Z had been so patient with him that he turned in 19 albums, um, with these being two of them. So, it's we'll see. We'll see. I believe it when I see it with Jay Elect. But, as when he releases his music, I'll be there. I'm a huge fan of Jay Electronica. I'm glad that we got something new from Jay Elect. Uh, and I do believe that Cardi's album, I was about to say Playboy Cardi, Cardi B's album released Friday after an 8-year wait for her fans. I'm not into Cardi B's music, but I do love Cardi B's personality. So I try to support her in that way. I try to watch all her interviews and stuff like that. Um, so I hope that the album does what she's expecting. And congratulations to her and Stephon Diggs on the upcoming baby. Uh, I do believe that's about it for me for this week. I don't think I got any. Well, no, Skate came out this past Tuesday. I This is my first time in like playing Skate, actively. Um, and Borderlands came out this week. I'm tripping. Uh, so yeah, it's been fun. So far with Skate, it's definitely a learning curve, but I'm willing to do it. Is it's a free game, so you can't argue with that. Um, it's Fashion Week. If I didn't if I didn't mention that, I haven't seen very many like super duper exciting shows so far. But that's kind of typical. I like probably once it's over, I'll just go back through like all of my usuals and then go through some I hadn't heard of or some that has been a while since I have heard of them. Um, and just look and just see what I can get from those. Other than that, oh, we went to see him, my wife and I, on our anniversary. I really enjoyed that movie. I love movies with and just media in general with like messages and I love that sometimes you gotta go beyond the surface for whatever that message is. And sometimes it's right there on the surface, but a lot of times, more often than not, the things that I enjoy, the messages beneath the surface, and you got to dig a little deeper for them. And I do enjoy um that kind of media, be it music, television, film, any kind of art. uh so that for those reasons, I definitely enjoyed the movie. I think that Marlon Wayans had a standout performance. Not used to seeing him in dramas, so that was pretty cool. And I wouldn't say, well, in dramatic roles, I wouldn't. Is that movie is not a drama; it's a psychological horror. But um, it was fun seeing him in that. Uh, and I thought it was a good movie. I like as the so there were like themes going on throughout the movie. There were like six themes. Um, and once we got to like the third theme, I started writing them down on my phone, just to see if I gathered, that message from the theme, or what I did gather from those. So it's definitely a movie I would go see again. It was produced by Jordan Peele. I think I said that last week. So it was pretty cool. It got my most trusted source, like review wise, or I don't want to say most trusted, but my most, I don't know how to phrase it, but the source that I go to the most um is IGN as far as reviews. And I of course I don't agree with everything they say, and I don't agree with their review of him. But they gave it a 4 out of 10, and I'm like, I don't know, like that had me second guessing. So yeah, like I said, I definitely want to see it again. I'll probably get it when it comes out on Blu-ray. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed it if nothing else. Um, I think that's about it for this week. We will hopefully be back this upcoming Wednesday or Tuesday, hopefully Tuesday, but no later than Wednesday. Um, to discuss week 3 of the NFL, the full discussion, and just go over, the basketball season's coming up, baseball season's getting to the playoffs. I didn't mention baseball season because the Cardinals are basically out of it. Um, so I really have no interest in watching. Um, but I believe that's about it. So until next time, I love you. Peace.